Hey there YouTube, I'm Yukitsu, this is the Yukitsu Times. Welcome to my channel, welcome back to Battlefleet Gothic. So I'm continuing on and trying another build that's a little bit off the beaten path here. And what we're going to try and do here is make a very macro cannon or star cannon focused build here. And for that we're obviously starting with our 3 Solarises, and we're actually going to try and use those macro cannons, those star cannons, as much as we possibly can. Now, these things are kind of okay, but kind of crappy at the same time. The way that they work is that you sort of have to like run in and sort of chip at the enemy, but then their shields sort of take all of it, and then you sort of have to move away. And you have to keep in motion that entire time because your ship is so fragile and has the hollow fields as its protection that if you don't keep in motion, your ships just sort of get shredded. Now, the Star Cannon is a lovely, lovely weapon. In theory, it has a damage per second of 1.5, which is actually higher than most other macro cannons. In fact, it's higher than the plasma ones, or the plasma macro batteries for the Imperials. It's higher in terms of damage per second than the lots of guns. It's higher than anything that the Chaos faction has, and it's equal to the heavy macro batteries in terms of pure damage per second. The only ones that it's worse than are the Orcish ones, and the Orcish ones have that sort of disadvantage that if you take the heavy cannons, you've got 2 of them instead of 4, whereas the Eldar have 6 Prow Star Cannons. So if you look at the math for the heavy guns at that sort of 30 range, that very, very short range, they deal 96 damage with a really big accuracy penalty, so it's actually considerably less, but we'll say it's 96 damage between the 2 guns every 12 seconds. So divide that sort of by 12, you get 8. Coincidentally, if you look at the Star Cannon's damage on this Solaris here, it's 1.5, there's 6 of those guns, you end up with 9. So the actual full volley strength of the Solaris in one direction is actually higher than the heavy cannons on the Orcish ship. So that's for reference of how good Star Cannons actually are. So I think there's a lot of potential locked up in them. The only problem with them is that they're almost impossible to use effectively, because you have to be moving at your high Eldar speeds towards an enemy ship when you don't really want to be moving towards them in that sort of fashion. And of course, why would you use this when you could just use the other weapon that the Eldar have access to? You know, it makes sort of no sense in a certain capacity there. But you know, we're gonna go for this anyway, and I think that's going to be an interesting way of playing the game. We're actually going to take Wraithbone reinforcement, and this is going to be what we're taking early on. But we're actually going to retrain this later. What we do with this is lets us sort of move straight forward into the denizens of into the grips of the enemy and sort of park ourselves there and fire off our shots. You know, the thing is, I actually really don't like this ability, and I was going to pay for it later, but I just realized that I'm kind of trying to do some of the math in my head here because I haven't actually done this yet. I might actually just take the stasis bombs instead right now. I wanted the stasis bombs later, definitely, because they're always really, really strong, stasis bombs. But the thing is that, like, I would probably replace the Wraithbone reinforcement as soon as I got a few of the upgrades here. All I really need before I get rid of it is the Deflecting Hollow Field and the Blessing of Vol. And once I've gotten that, I'm pretty much set. And in all honesty, if you get these abilities, then you pretty much don't need that anymore. Yeah, so I guess we'll just forget about that for now. But one of the things that's going to hurt is that I'm also not really planning on taking the Hellebore or the Hemlock. I'm going to take the Economite because it's very much in line with that sort of rapid spamming of those shots, and it's just actually quite a decent ship. It's got 5 damage per second in total, very high accuracy, very high speed, so it again has that sort of embodiment of being able to deal a lot of damage there very, very quickly. It's just so fragile that it's kind of like blah, but alright, we can't even afford an Economite. We will take the Nightshade Destroyer because it does have, well, it has torpedoes, it does also have a little bit of a macro cannon there, a star cannon. What we're trying to do is just build a fleet and see if we can do it without any pulsars whatsoever. And I think that that's going to be an interesting sort of thought experiment. Now, this is a fleet that, like the Orcs, I think really relies on its favors. Normally, Eldar can rely on those pulsars, and it sort of multiplies once they get... Okay, well, he quit. It really multiplies once you end up getting the favors in addition to your pulsars. On the other hand, with the Starcannons, you're really hoping for the best until you can get those favors that really prop up your ships in ways that you can't have them do otherwise. In particular, like not having the ability to repel borders very easily with this is going to be really, really rough. But later on, I'll either have Bale 10 or Sam Hen or something like that that really does help negate some of that other stuff. Alright, so we're up against Eldar, and this is kind of interesting because very likely, if he's your typical Eldar player, if he's done the smart thing, in my opinion, with the Eldar, he's probably got something like 2 Auroras, and maybe he's got a Solaris. So his roster is probably 2 Auroras and a Solaris. That's I think the standard, or he might even just have 3 Auroras, because that's how you win against most other players. If you're level 1, and I think this guy might be, because I didn't get any bonus points, you usually aren't going to have 2 Solarises in your roster. You don't do that until you've got 2 Auroras, and then you get 2 Solarises, maybe. But in this particular case, I might just have that huge advantage because I've got the Starcannons and he doesn't. And I just have to basically stick to him like glue, and I'll be able to win this one. Now, the alternative is he just takes a whole shitload of Econo-Knights, in which case, you know, he doesn't have that many Econo-Knights, it doesn't look like, but we'll have to see. I'm going to go with Brace for Impact as my default stance here, the reason being that Brace for Impact allows me to survive hits from Econo-Knights a little bit more effectively. They have that spam of shots, so being able to deflect a large percentage of those is actually quite good. And what also is going to let me do is ram his Econo-Knight frigates with my Solarises here, which might sound like a crazy thing to do, but you absolutely do want to do is ram attacks when you're playing as the Eldar against another Eldar player. Now, he's made the mistake of taking his Aurora, which I don't know if it probably means that he had 3 Auroras. So we'll see how that goes out for him. I'm just waiting for my bombers to come off cooldown here, because they are an important aspect to my damage per second, and in particular, they have enough burst damage that they could potentially just kill that little escort that's chasing after me here. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and drop this over here.
We have found the enemy.
Alright, so we've launched our fighters there. Going to turn us off of that. Yeah, that thing's already dead, so... Come on. Not only did he use a pulsar against my Eldar ships, but he did 0 damage with it because it's a pulsar, and he actually missed with it too. Alright, perfect. Alright, so let's get around here. He's used his pulsar, he's used his only weapon really, so...
Until the end.
Alright, so it looks like he wants to actually ram us for some reason, but we're on
Yes, come on.
Brace for Impact and he is not, so...
At your service.
Thought I... Oh yeah, I turned this off. Oh. Oh, that was bad. Alright, let's get on these guys, I guess. Oh, my engines got knocked out. That's really bad. Alright, so give that guy a little nudge.
Until the end.
Alright, his cruiser, which was on fire, has exploded, so we just have to focus on this little guy here. Actually, I think a bomber wave actually went out and hit it. Oh. It's, Alright, and that'll be victory. That one almost died, but fortunately enough, just barely hangs on there. Perfect. So yeah, this is a good counter build against other Eldar. If you're going mirror matches, you'll usually win with this setup, just because Eldar don't have really great tools at this level to deal with it. Almost everyone is going to have the Auroras in their roster. It's just unavoidable. But we're going against the grain here. We're doing something different. This is going to be interesting once I get the Shadow, because the Shadow is such a crappy ship. Like, it does have more damage per second, and it's a little bit beefier. But that doesn't really excuse the fact that it's just a really bad one. We're actually going to go Blade Sworn with these guys, because when we're so vulnerable, we're not really planning on using our Squadron Sergeants as our main source of damage or anything like that. Starting off with Deflecting Holofields, I just feel like it's a really strong sort of starting ability. I don't know if I should have actually gone with the Belt Armor and then replaced it later, but for now we'll go ahead and take the Deflecting Holofield. I actually like taking the Belt Armor and then switching them up later, but this will save me a little bit of renown, and it's not like Deflecting Holofield is bad, but let's continue along here. See if we can find someone who's not an Eldar player and use this crappy list of ours against that. Hopefully there'll be people who are relatively close to my level, because if we encounter someone who's high level with a lot of favors and stuff like that, we will get crushed. We will get creamed. Like, absolutely. No questions asked. Alright. Well, we're up against an Imperial player. He's got some bonuses compared to us, so slightly ahead of us in terms of points. Does give us enough for that little bit of a Nightshade Destroyer, though, so looking forward to using that, by which I mean I am absolutely not looking forward to using that thing. Like, a Nightshade Destroyer is actually an excellent ship in a lot of respects. It's very fast. It's got a decent amount of damage potential from those torpedoes, because the torpedoes are really high damage. Eldar torpedoes are just sort of similar to everyone else's, but this is a very maneuverable, very fast ship. It's just that it's very hard to micromanage it effectively. So you'll often find it sort of just drifting off into an enemy ship and then exploding because it sort of rammed them. We're going to go ahead and set these guys to automatic behavior. He's got 2 ships, so it'll be 2 Dauntlesses. They're in a gas cloud. Okay. Now, the thing is, I don't really know if it might be a smarter idea for me to just outright get into a punching match with his ships. Or if it's better for me to do more carrier play. Like, I want to get the macros their due, sort of, but if it turns out that my opponents are just really good with their macro cannons, which Imperials are, it makes little sense for me to not try and leverage that fighter advantage that I've got as much as possible.
At your service.
Now, he might actually be in this asteroid field, which would be interesting, but not that surprising.
Yes, Commander.
It's also even possible that he's running silently, but I get the feeling he's not. Alright, so we're going to swoop around and actually check this asteroid belt here. Well, I could actually do this. Oh yeah, no, they're in the gas cloud. Okay. I can't tell if it's both of them or if it's just one of them, but it's definitely someone in the gas cloud.
Until the end. Acknowledged.
Alright, so this little guy here, if I put him on brace for impact, he's actually relatively survivable,
Stand ready.
by which I mean he'll die pretty much immediately if he gets hit by anything, but let's see how likely they are to actually hit anything. So we'll actually get these guys over this way, and then sort of move over this way.
Acknowledged.
Alright, so let's not roll into that.
Yes, Commander. At your service.
Nope. Definitely don't want to engage while those things are up.
Until the end.
So we will wait a little bit here. I'm wondering if my opponent has Mark 1s or something. Because if he's got 2 Mark 1s, then he doesn't have any ability to sort of deal with me at long range here.
Yes, Commander.
Really? How does he... He must have a cruiser or he's AdMech.
Acknowledged.
Alright, let's see if we can see the contrails from his point defenses. Yeah, they're there.
The Eldar stand ready.
Alright, so we're in range for our fighters. For our bombers, rather.
Until the end. Yes, Commander.
So I thought... These are Mark 2s. They could have been firing torpedoes this whole time. That was a weird choice. I need to keep vision of this guy just until these hit.
Acknowledged.
Okay, so we dealt some damage to that one ship there, which is pretty nice.
At your service.
Going to go ahead and hit repair here, just so that that ship is at the very least no longer on fire. Try and get ourselves a boarding action here. If I can't. Oh, one of them's a Mark 1. That's interesting. Come on. Boarding actions, please. Both failures. Damn.
Yes, Commander.
Okay, we're gonna have to try and take out their shields, I think.
The Eldar stand ready. Acknowledged. At your service. The Eldar stand ready.
Alright.
Yes, Commander.
Dealt some pretty decent damage to them. They're stuck in this field here.
Infinity circuits active.
They're constantly activating the tactical cogitators, which is lovely. Alright, so let's back off with this guy.
Until the end.
I don't know why they're lightning striking that, but whatever. Oh, shit.
This vessel. Yes, Commander.
Alright, so
The Eldar
this is
stand
going to be a
ready.
lot of damage since I've already used repair action on this one.
Acknowledged.
This way. Oh dear. Okay. So generators. Both of you guys.
Your service.
Might actually hit him there. Nope, not quite.
Brace for incoming fire.
Alright, this guy's gonna get his shields back up unfortunately, but we've got our brace for impact here.
Returning infinity circuit to rest.
Oh, damn it. Alright, so we need to... Oh, got his generators. Let's get his engines.
Infinity circuits active. Until the end.
Alright, so we got some of his weapons destroyed too. Perfect. Which is perfect.
Acknowledged.
Alright, so where's that other ship? It's down there. Alright.
Acknowledged. Brace for incoming fire. Bone singers, heal this vessel.
God, this guy uses this tactical cogitator all the time. All day, every day sort of thing.
Yes, Commander.
Alright, so he used all his boarding actions against my my Nightshade Destroyer, which is great for me. Alright, that was a little bit too much lead, I think. Maybe not. Alright, so... Oh yeah, we got a hit there.
Until the end.
God damn it. So many bombs from this guy. He's really spamming them out there.
At your service.
I can't really complain, it's just that, like, the fact that he's AdMech is why he's got two of them, so... Alright, there we go.
The Eldar stand ready.
Alright.
Brace for incoming fire.
There's what I wanted to see. Boarding success too.
Yes, Commander.
Alright. Let's get this guy out of here, I think, basically.
The Eldar
And
stand
we'll just
ready.
keep fighting with this one. We'll use this guy just as a carrier platform.
Move at full speed.
Alright, so the one ship, I think, is pretty much out of the fight there. Oh, really? Fire?
Until the end.
Alright, let's try and just deal the damage as fast as we can, I think.
Brace for incoming fire.
Oh shit, he already had another boarding action.
Full speed.
I thought he just used that. Pretty sure actually they did just use that.
At your service.
Alright, let's get in on him a little bit.
Yes, Commander.
Wow, even braced he has really good accuracy against me. Jeez.
Acknowledged. Yes, Commander. The Red Way is opening fire. Performance set the laughing god.
Come on,
At your service.
we can do this. Shit. Okay, maybe not.
We have lost the flagship.
Alright, we got our boarding action off. We've managed to get a success there. That's caused a fire. It's destroyed his engines. Shit, okay, that launched. That fire is going to finish that off, though, so I'm not too worried. Alright, it's up to a duel between my ships now. Oh, they got the right ship. They got the right ship. That's both of them. Yes! Alright, perfect. Yes, those carriers made a big difference, but I was actually using a lot of the Starcannons. It's just that, like, getting the damage per second out of these things is so bad, and their armor, I think, was blocking an awful lot of it. I really do need that sort of ignores armor upgrade, but maybe I want the range upgrade so I can more easily keep at arm's length. It's hard to say. Alright, so one of our Solarises got blown up, which is really bad, but that's okay. We've got our tier 2, so we now have a Shadow. Really bad ship. Probably my least favorite ship in the game. But in terms of damage per second, like, again, the output, it's surprising. I mean, you know, you could probably get a lot more done with it than you would really expect. Alright, deflecting hollow field, which I think is just crucial. Shadow. Alright. So let's take a look at the stats of this guy. So, again, it's the exact same one. That's the problem. It's got 1.5 damage per second per, and then it's got 8 of them instead of just 6. So its damage is only 3 higher, so 12 instead of 9. I mean, damage per second theoretically is quite good. The torpedoes are nice, but the Solaris, I think, is actually ultimately a better ship, which is pretty sad because the Solaris I don't think is a very good ship. But, you know, we'll go ahead and get Vol's Maneuver on this guy, and we'll go ahead and get a Plasma Bomb on him, I think. Just sort of like that combination on the Shadows here. Normally, I would like to get the fighter screens on them, but since we're taking Solarises in such large numbers, I don't think we need that as much with this fleet as we normally would. So, yeah, we've got ourselves an interesting fleet that takes a lot longer to win with than if we were using the Aurora, which I still think is a vastly superior ship. Like, these would not have been necessarily as close of matches if we were taking Solarises. Or, sorry, if we were taking Auroras, which again, you know. But, you know, I think eventually they're going to have to nerf the pulsars in some way or another. I think they were talking about nerfing their range, which I think is actually a pretty interesting choice of how to do it. I don't get the range upgrade to begin with, so it's not really my problem necessarily, if you want to think of it that way. Alright, we got Chaos. Let's go ahead and just take a couple of these and then one of our Economites frigates. It's nice to be able to take that instead of the other one. But one of the things that I'm also going to look out for with this is that I think this fleet really, really suffers against escort spam. I think that there's just... Oh no. Chaos Guy is telling me that I shall perish. And, you know, that's not good. But, yeah, no, I'll be okay. I'll be okay. He'll probably kick my ass, actually, but yeah, this is going to be an interesting matchup. Since I'm not taking 2 Solarises, he's really got that option to just punish me by taking a lot of carriers. which is actually a pretty decent counter against Eldar, but if he does have a lot of carriers, I've got this lovely option to really use my speed and stealth rather than the normal of fighter screens, because Eldar are very good at getting out of line of sight of the enemy ship. The one exception is if they put recon beacons directly onto your ship, in which case you're kind of screwed, but, it happens. You can somewhat get away from the damage from fighters and bombers and assault boats and stuff like that by waiting until they're relatively close, and you can see if you've hit any with your defensive turrets or your fighter screens. And as soon as you get a little bit closer, you just hit boost, and it'll allow your defensive turrets to work a second time, essentially, against that fighter wave, so you can kill twice as many of the fighters. But it's still pretty difficult to actually avoid those with Eldar if they've got you tracked with a tracking beacon. Alright. Let's put bombers on automatic and deploy some fighters. My opponent has decided to camp in a gas cloud at the start, which is always a smart idea. But I know that there's 5 ships, so as I was saying, like, it's hard to actually beat fighter screen. That was one of the reasons, actually, I took the plasma bomb, because the plasma bomb is actually pretty good at dispatching screens of escorts. So, there we go. One of the things that's not in the game that was in the tabletop that I kind of miss is the fact that you used to be able to just destroy ordnance using your weapon batteries. So, if there were fighters incoming and you had nothing else to shoot at, you could actually just shoot at it with your main guns. I would actually like to see that here so that people don't fire these long-range, sloggy things across the battlefield, because they wouldn't be effective, obviously, if there was that difference. They're already pretty ineffective, but like causing people to sort of have to wiggle around, all it does is delay the game. They don't really cause much damage. They're not really part of it. It's just, it slows the game down so much. Alright, so my opponent, for some reason, was in running silently. Not 100% sure why, but a lot of people seem to do that. He's got the torpedo carriers. Alright, so let's loop around here and avoid those torpedoes if we can. As you can see, like, my own torpedoes, they're not really doing much, as you can tell. Like, this is just so easy for my opponent to get around them. Alright, our shadow should be actually the one that's sort of near the forefront, but...
The Eldar stand ready.
Oh.
Infinity circuits active. Until the end.
Okay, what the hell's going on here?
Move at full speed. At your service.
2, 1.
Acknowledged.
And a little tap there is not going to hurt me all that much. Perfectly okay with getting hit by an idolator there.
Brace for incoming fire.
Alright, so let's get our carrier in on the job here.
Yes, Commander.
Now, he's taking a lot more damage, I think, than he probably expected. And also, I don't really have to worry too much about escorts ramming me. It's not actually that big a deal.
Found the enemy.
Alright.
The Eldar stand ready.
The one problem is that I don't deal any damage to him either, so... Alright, let's go ahead and launch these. Do this.
Infinity circuits active.
Activate that. Oop. Do not want to go into this. Might have to just stop here.
Until the end.
Alright.
The Eldar stand ready. Until the end.
One of the nice things about Eldar pulsars is that, like, you can brace for impact against them, but it's not going to make a huge difference because they do have very, very good tracking. and they'll usually hit regardless. So, all right, this ship needs to keep its motion.
The Eldar stand ready. Move at full speed.
Ouch! I think I got dinged there.
Yes, Commander.
Oh, that was my engine's shit. That's really bad. Okay, well. Yeah, that's gonna kill my ship there. Ugh. Alright. With the engines down, your ships are just so vulnerable. I'm gonna take his down. Retaliation. There we go.
Until the end. Move at full speed. The Eldar stand ready. Move at full speed. Brace for incoming fire. Acknowledged. Move at full speed.
Really?
This was your last dance. Move at full speed.
Alright, so with his engines down, he's pretty much
Yes, Commander.
sunk here, but... Really? Really? Really, game? Alright, we're aiming at his generators, it looks like, which is what I do want to be hitting, so... He's gonna get his shields back up, though, in just a second here.
Infinity circuits active.
Alright. The Economite from behind is just chipping away pretty nicely.
Infinity circuits active.
Really? What? This is such dog shit. It's just like so many crits against me. This is why you need those crew upgrades so badly in this game. Alright. I need the renown. Yep. There we go. No mercy. Ah, jeez. Yep, this is why I keep saying you need that deflecting hollow field or you need the belt armor. Belt armor is sort of better right now since, like, I was getting hit by those boarding attacks and he was getting 100% criticals against my engines every time. It's just like, oh my god. Which you really don't want to see as the Eldar. It's just so much worse for them than it is for anyone else. All of my ships are just on fire, but at least the Shadow actually gets the level. Like, there's some games where just all the ships become crippled instead of destroyed for some reason. I don't know why that is or when that happens, but... you know, it's just sort of the way of it. Alright, so, yeah, we're gonna go again, deflecting hollow field, Blade Swarm. Like, we just need to get that crit chance against our ships down as much as possible. Because, like, we're getting crit a lot, and it's really hurting our ability to use this fleet, but it is still, you know, pretty functional. I mean, it's been working pretty well for me. I think that part of it is because, like, at these sort of lower levels, it's sort of possible to use this kind of fleet. It's not a great idea. I wouldn't recommend it to people. But I get the feeling as we advance and get to that tier where I would be normally using the Eclipse, it's going to really, really suck. Like, I think that this level, about level 2 to 5 is where Eldar start getting a little bit weaker, a little bit weaker, a little bit weaker as other people get their more powerful cruisers that are really effective. And the Eldar don't get any good ships until their battle cruiser, which is really, really nice. But until they get to there, they're stuck using Shadows and Auroras, and those are just not really enough to beat things like Dominators. Like, if you're up against a 2-Dominator Imperial player, you're using Auroras, you're going to pretty much always lose that if he knows what he's doing. Because it's like, it's 2 shots and your ship is dead. I mean, if he manages to land this perfectly, it's 2 shots, and if it's not perfect shots, it's 4 shots, and he'll still probably kill your ship in 2 volleys. So, you know, you could take the Shadow, that'll survive 3 or 6, depending on if he gets the direct hits or not. but that's still not particularly good. Like 600 hit points is not enough for this piece of crap ship. It really needs an upgrade of some sort. Like I don't know what they were thinking when they made this, because this thing is about equal to something like a Dauntless Mark II in terms of most respects. Like the macro cannons, as I was saying, are actually quite good, but the difference is if you're playing the Imperials or the Orcs, you want to be firing from both sides at the same time. So you get in between your opponent, you're using both broadsides. You have more damage per second than the Eldar ship does. You basically divide the Eldar ship's damage per second in half. It goes down to about 4.5 or 6 in the case of the Shadow. 6 damage per second is not really any higher than what you're getting out of something like a Dauntless. So 2 Dauntlesses running between 2 enemy ships, same damage per second on 2 ships as the Shadow does against that one ship. So you know they're doing twice as much damage. They're a little bit more expensive, of course, because there's 2 of them. They're dealing a lot more damage, though. They're a lot more durable. They've got twice as many torpedoes, so it's really not a beneficial thing to have the Shadow. They've got more hit points. They've got shields, all that stuff combined. The only really great thing about the ship is the speed, which is really, really quite high for a macro battery carrier. But again, you don't really need high speed for the macro battery carriers unless you're up against, coincidentally, Eldar. Well, either way, I think that's going to be enough of this one for the time being. I'm going to level this one up a little bit before I do another episode. Well, maybe not, actually. I kind of enjoy showing you guys the process of getting there, but you know, this is the off-meta Eldar thing that I wanted to try out, and I'm doing a little bit of this for every faction. The things that, you know, a faction normally doesn't excel at, we're going to be trying. So, anyway, I hope you found this video enjoyable, and of course, as always, I hope to see you all next time.